Hello everybody and welcome, this is TV Hub Official 1 with my newest exclusive installment in the WWE series I am posting, and this is going to be my WWE pay-per-view series. And so for the first time we are going to do WWE Hell in a Cell 2014. And just a pre-notice, this is a reaction video, a review, and a results video, so we're going to feature 3 of these. So if you haven't watched this pay-per-view already, probably want to look away. But if you want to know the results, this is a good place to go. So, I know it's a bit late, but you probably already figured out the results by now. But if you're watching and you know you want to see what happened, you probably already know. But if you haven't already, this is a good place to come to. I'll also just review, give my own opinion. You can give your own opinion in the comments below, and I will just react to what I saw a few moments ago. So, we'll start off with the main points about the matches that came about, my opinion on each, and then we will do a overview of the whole pay-per-view in full. So it began live in Dallas, Texas, for Hell in a Cell. The cage was still high up on the rafters. So our first match was for the Intercontinental Championship, the champion Dolph Ziggler taking on the challenger Cesaro. Cesaro is hell-bent on beating Dolph Ziggler in this match, and this was a special 2 out of 3 falls match. So, the match began off slow with old-school grappling. There was a hold, a scrabble, a hold, and then a hold on the ground again, with Cesaro using lots of good holds there. Dolph Ziggler, the high flyer, is struggling to get the upper hand in this one. They get to their feet, and Ziggler climbs along the rope, and after a series of falls, there is incredible action. Cesaro, using Ziggler's high-flying moves against him, pins, but Ziggler uses these pins against and gets some close pins there. Cesaro then performs a Cesaro swing, and after this, Ziggler, using his skills, twisting round into a pin to get the first fall. Although against the rules, Cesaro quickly averts into an attack while on his feet, even though the referee pushes him off. Cesaro wasting no time in this, putting pressure and strong punches. The frustration comes early on, and technical holds follow, with a lot of strangulation and a long chokehold on Dolph Ziggler, which he performs. After this, the game continues with a brilliant double arm powerbomb to hell as Cesaro lifts Dolph Ziggler over his head and throws him down to the ground. Although in control of the offense, Cesaro needs 2 falls or submissions in order to get back in the game and win. Ziggler is also trying his best and puts in a hold to make Cesaro tap out. The way he does this is resiliency against Cesaro with the hold. There is a superplex that follows, and Ziggler performs a leg move to get a near fall. Cesaro hits a flying European uppercut to another near fall. Ziggler performs a super kick and zigzag for the win with 2 falls to end the match. So this first match ended on a high note for Dolph Ziggler, retaining the Intercontinental Championship, which was a good buzz in the crowd for all the lovers of Dolph Ziggler. So it was very enjoyable, I thought. Good high spots. The superplex was pretty immense from Cesaro's strong frame, and all in all, I like this one. I'd give it a 4 to 5 in total. I think Cesaro did throw a lot at Ziggler, but unfortunately was not trying his best to get out of those pins. Okay. After another segment with Randy Orton backstage, we cut to our next match, Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella, with the stipulation that the loser will have to be the other person's personal assistant for 30 days, or they will be fired. So they pretty much have no choice but to be a personal assistant. This match I pretty much skipped through most of it, just, get to the good bit at the end because, I didn't really want to see it. It was a meh match. There was a pretty good vibe in the crowd. So they continued on for a few minutes with back and forth action, and a dive over the top, which is amazing. Brie put on a yes lock, but it was stopped, and Nikki got out of that one, and Nikki hit a good punch from the rope, hard punch there, and put on a second rack attack for the win. So Nikki Bella versus Brie Bella was an alright match, middle of the road, crowd were alright for it. Nikki Bella performing some good moves, a good punch, and a good high flying from Brie Bella. So it was a good one. Give it 3 out of 5. Or 2.5 to 2 3/4 out of 5. Around that. So not too good, not too bad. In general. Our next match was another championship match with the tag team champions, Goldust and Stardust, versus the former tag team champions, who they defeated, the Usos. This is another one of those Usos and Goldust and Stardust matches, and wasn't expecting too much from this one. So the Usos were tearing and throwing Goldust around the ring, and a lot of good flips and stuff you expect from the Usos. And actually, Stardust and Goldust were actually performing pretty well tonight, and a crowd was all for the Usos. So everyone was all pumped up, and a lot of covers by the Usos, flying high, were good, and they were good champions in the day, and they want their championship back. So there was a goal in mind for the Usos. So close cover from Goldust with 3 powerful throws and claims, and lots of chin locks. Both competitors in the ring were looking for the tag, while Jimmy throws Goldust over the top rope to the floor. Jay is tagged in and throws Star out and flies outside after him. Jey Uso returns to the ring and battles it out with Goldust hitting a Samoan kick out of nowhere and thrashing Goldust into the corners, with finally a Rikishi's move with a big cheer as he hits the tag team champion. Jay is distracted and Goldust performs an amazing move for a close pinfall, and Goldust slaps and Jay hits a super kick for near fall again. The Usos now get both Goldust and Stardust up onto the both corners opposite each other and perform simultaneous superplexes. Jay hits a splash, but is broken up when Goldust comes over, and the chaos ensues. With Goldust being attacked by Jey Uso, Stardust helps out, and so Goldust reverses something into a move of Dream, and he pins Jey Uso to end the match. As the Stardust and Goldust reign victorious in that match, we cut to a video package of Randy Orton versus John Cena feud, which was a rivalry that lasted for the last 10 years, and how they both went down their 2 separate paths. The rivalry adds another chapter to the story, and this match is going to be the Hell in a Cell, where the winner of Randy Orton versus John Cena will get a future match against Brock Lesnar for the World Heavyweight Championship. Also, Paul Heyman will be watching on to see what's happening, and he was also in the pre-show. We start off with Randy Orton making his way towards the ring with a dirty look on his face after Stephanie McMahon and the others' authority told him to be aggressive in the ring and to let his inner demons out as usual. As John Cena makes his way to the ring, we get the usual cheers, and the commentator mentions that this is 27 world championships between the 2 men, and could be 28 when one of those people goes to face Brock Lesnar and they might win. It's also mentioned that John Cena has 15 World Heavyweight Championships wins, and if he gets 16, he will be tied with the Nature Boy Ric Flair, the all-time record for the most World Heavyweight Championship wins. The match begins fast-paced and aggressively, with John Cena and Randy Orton trading punches, and inside the cell, outside the ring, Orton smashes Cena off several parts of the cell before returning inside. He takes a chair in, but is dropped, and Orton grabs the chair and hits Cena over the head to take him to the ground. After several moments, Cena attempts the AA, but is reversed into a DDT. Orton has put the chair into a corner, jams it in, and they battle against each other on the steel outside, and when they return back inside, Orton remains in control with several pinfalls. After Cena's clotheslines Orton reverses this and performs his own clotheslines and stomps Cena to the ground. Outside, Orton smashes Cena as he drags him around onto the cell and attempts other pins back inside the ring. Back inside, Cena pumps out of Orton's hose and gets 2 shoulder hits in on the ropes before performing his signature back body drop to cheer from the crowd and into control and into a power slam from his taunt from Orton. Cena buys time by throwing Orton over the top and holding him and jamming him into the cell. Orton lifts up Cena and jams him against the ring into a ring post before using a signature backbreaker on Cena outside. Then Cena shoots out, continues, and Cena is launched into the cell, and the Viper is whipped into steel. When Cena gains control, he pulls out a table and sets it up in the ring. Orton, using intelligence, is put into an AA, but kicks over the table, reverses it, and hits a drop kick before launching Cena into a chair that was on the corner and pinning him with a near fall. Orton sets the same table up in a corner, and they battle again with an RKO from Cena for Cena to hold out at 1 count. Orton smashes Cena into the table in rage and pins again, pleading with the referee. Next, Orton brings in steel steps, coil to strike, while Cena counters into a 5-knuckle back body drop and 5-knuckle shuffle to follow on the steps. Orton counters AA into a low blow. Randy Orton, once again on his prey, looking into the crowd, while Cena lies on one side of the ring with his head right there. Randy Orton decides to go for the punt. Cena reverses into a STF, and this goes here for several seconds until Randy Orton pulls himself out of the ring with the ropes, Cena giving up after only a bit of minutes. Next, Cena picks up the steel steps and throws and misses as Randy Orton dodges them from the outside. Outside the ring, Orton becomes once again dominant in this match, and once again brings Cena back inside the ring, but surprisingly, after Cena gets back to his feet, puts Orton up on his shoulders, the weak Orton, into an AA position. He flips him, but is reversed into an RKO, and another close fall ensues. This is an amazing spot in the match, and has not been seen in a long time, with a RKO counter of the typical AA as he flew down with several action replays. Cena, once again getting back to his feet, getting Orton into the position where he can put him into AA, and finally gets the attitude adjustment right this time, and it's another close fall. From under the ring, he pulls out a table, getting desperate, and sets it up. He knows that he has to do the trick with this, and so pulls Orton onto the table, lays him down, and gets himself up onto the corner opposite that table. But Orton gets back to his feet just as he's about to jump into the leg drop, and Orton hits him back into the corner, smashes him down, and goes up. Orton is up here, but oh my god, Cena somehow gets him onto his shoulders, countering such moves, and puts into a spectacular AA into a certain position where it goes in a certain direction, so he gets the A straight onto a table, and he is pinned 1, 2, 3, and Cena wins the match and is now the #1 contender for Brock Lesnar's World Heavyweight Championship. Cena makes his way out of the ring, celebrating with the music playing, and looks over at Paul Heyman, who looks in disgust before leaving up the ramp. The match, although a lengthy one, about 25 to 30 minutes in length, feels much shorter than it actually is, with lots of great moments and the steel cage making a great sort of gimmick to get people watching, and also works as a new refreshing image. Being the 6th time Randy Orton was fighting in a cage, and the 4th time that Cena was fighting in a cage. The last time they met, Randy Orton won in the cage, so he defeated John Cena for the WWE Championship, I think. And so this time, with John Cena getting the win, is good to see that in a certain way. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan myself, but it was nice to see him get this win for its fans and for everything. And this basically sets him up to win against Brock Lesnar to try and get the WWE World Heavyweight Championship back. And he could be the new record holder if he gets the WWE World Heavyweight Championship twice now. 2 times to go, and he will be the new record holder for the most World Heavyweight Championship wins in all of WWE history. Although not too much Extreme Rules, it wasn't actually advertised as that. It did go through a bit of hell. Orton especially liking to target Cena in the groin, which he did twice, and liking to smash Cena's face, which is actually quite interesting to see him just push his face into the steel cage. The way Cena worked in this match was alright, I guess. Some fun stuff that he did, and the attitude adjustment at the end was pretty good. And also, what else can I say? Orton performing a top game again. Beautiful RKO, and a good RKO with the attitude adjustment. One of the earlier ones was actually really good, and if he did that punt, that would have been amazing, but he didn't. What can I say else? Elsewise, crowd was pretty good for this one, and in total, I will give this match just in terms of how I enjoyed it, a 4 out of 5. Backstage, we got a segment with Big Show, who is pumped up for his match against Rusev, and he's with Mark Henry, saying he's going to do USA proud in our usual sort of way he does, and says it, and says he's going to beat Rusev really badly this time, and defeat the dominant Rusev. So we go back over to the arena, and our following contest is for one fall for the United States Championship of the World. With a little history, this was set up in 1975, and the Miz was making his way to the ring, and we get a flashback of our pre-show, which I didn't really mention at all, but he was at Mizdow TV, the first ever guest, which is, Damien Sandow, but Damien Mizdow, and it was seen on Mizdow with the Miz that Sheamus, who's the United States Champion, came out and did not want to lose the belt. Now Sheamus makes his way to the ring with the championship. We get our usual introduction to the match, and then it begins. At the very start, Sheamus tries to get a bro kick in with Mizdow watching on. He misses, and then we are thrown into the match. So they start off, Sheamus bashing against Miz and putting him on the ropes, ready to get the 10 meters of Baron in, but is reversed and is struggling on the ropes as Mizdow imitates him, and he gets taken out, but Miz reverses that and gets put into another 10 beats the Baron, which Mizdow imitates. Sheamus performs a neck breaker and then a backbreaker before he throws Miz out of the ring. Damien Mizdow is hit down and Miz knocks Sheamus outside. Mizdow works down Sheamus in the ring with some shoulders, while Sheamus kicks out and knocks all clotheslines out. So Sheamus is flung to the outside, and Sheamus gets a senton rolling attack outside to get Miz outside as well to the ground. Sheamus brings Miz back inside the ring and goes on a rope and performs a battering ram for a close fall. Falls are traded, and Sheamus does the Irish Curse backbreaker. Neckbreaker from The Miz after this, and a DDT from The Miz. The WWE Universe chants that Mizdow is awesome, and the speed once again picks up, and Sheamus once again plants The Miz in the ground. Miz gets back up and hits the skull-crushing finale, and Miz comes on Sheamus and is bro-kicked as he dives off the rope. Sheamus uses and wins and retains his championship and the match, and Mizdow is very entertaining. And after the match, we get Sheamus doing where he gets Miz and moves around so that Mizdow does the same, YMCA, and then waits for Miz to get to his feet, and Sheamus bro-kicks him. This match was alright, not too long, and Mizdow obviously very entertaining as Damien Mizdow. Sheamus not performing very well, but alright I guess. And The Miz, not great. He nearly got a figure 4 leg lock, but in the end he didn't, so out of 5 I would give this a 3 out of 5. Backstage we see a continuation of the Nikki Bella vs Brie Bella match, but this time Nikki is watching as Brie puts her suitcases in her car, and she asks for the smoothie, which Brie gives her, and she pours over Nikki's head and leaves. So this is what probably might continue a bit later on in Raw and Raw, or maybe SmackDown and stuff like that, where we're gonna have a month of Brie having to be Nikki's personal assistant. Poor her. Next, we get a nice Russian vs USA, Big Show vs Rusev video package with their conflict over the days. We get a nice voice from Lana, and then Rusev and Big Show make their way to the ring. In the past, as the commentators point out, Big Show has knocked out Rusev, but has never pinned him, and no one has ever actually pinned Rusev before. Rusev uses the strategy of getting Big Show off his feet as the match begins, and was working on his legs, trying to hold down his legs from attacking. In the early stages, Big Show frees himself from the hold and puts Rusev in his own leg attack, showing the strength of Big Show's legs. But Rusev performs a suplex on the 450-pounder just after Big Show gets back to his feet. Big Show once again makes his way back to his feet, but Rusev retaliates and dropkicks Big Show to the floor. He then stomps down Big Show for a bit with some great athleticism, and Big Show counters the accolade which Rusev was about to put in place into a sharpshooter-like move where he stretches out Rusev's whole body. It is pointed out by the commentators that Big Show has a game plan, and he is using his moves well and staying down when he can and trying to work down Rusev cleverly. So Big Show sets up for a knockout blow, but is reversed into a shoulder hits clotheslines from Rusev, and although Big Show comes back, hits some more clotheslines himself, and hits a spear on Rusev, which is just pure amazing. Mark Henry making his way to his tag team partner to cheer him on from the sideline, and Rusev stops a chokeslam hold, but Big Show counters into the sound kick that was in place and performs his own chokeslam with a close following. Rusev then comes back with a kick and another hit with Big Show on the ground. He puts on Big Show in the accolade on the ground as the crowd are chanting USA, 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 expecting a big recovery. But immediately, Big Show somehow taps out with the disappointed Mark Henry outside, and Rusev winning with Lana cheering from outside. Yet another match. It seems that Rusev is unstoppable. So that was the match between Rusev and Big Show, with Mark Henry watching on. Rusev performing pretty well, I guess. Big Show did some nice, got a nice spear in there, so it was pretty good. I'll give that a 3.5 out of 10 in terms of 3.5 out of 5 in terms of enjoyment. Not as good as Rusev's other matches, but it's alright, I guess. In our next segment, we get another backstage segment with Dean Ambrose is backstage talking about his Money in the Bank match with Seth Rollins, and he mentions Halloween as he will be the person everyone will be being. So then we cut back to our next match, which is the Divas Championship match. Our Divas Championship match is between the Divas Champion AJ Lee, who takes on Paige, who was recently sided with Alicia Fox. AJ starts off with another few pin attempts, rolling Paige up, while Paige goes outside and is thrown against the ring by AJ. AJ Lee attacks the incoming Alicia Fox, and Paige comes back, as this is 2-on-1, I guess, outside, and swings AJ around against the barrier and pulls AJ back inside the ring. With AJ laying down in the middle of the ring, Paige catapults AJ into the corner and into other corners, with the referee looking over. AJ hits a kick, but Paige catches her, and Alicia Fox cannot believe it. AJ hits Paige in jaw and has into a near fall. Paige counters AJ into a follow-away slam, and outside Paige falls, and AJ brings Paige back into the ring and puts on the Black Widow to end the match and retain the Divas Championship. So this match was alright, I guess. Again, one of the not so good matches on the card, but I guess Alicia Fox could have did a little more, and she didn't really get any revenge after the end of the match when Paige walked away from Alicia Fox angry at her. AJ performing pretty well there. It's good moves. And interestingly enough, they had a bit of outside attack as well, so give that a 3 out of 5. And now, after the break, we move on to the big one. The steel cage, the second main event between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. First, we get a video package for the match, and Seth Rollins wants to put Dean Ambrose out, like he sold out Dean Ambrose earlier on, showing just old stuff. Some really cool stuff there between the two, how they portrayed each other, how the Shield used to be great, and how Dean Ambrose is even more crazier than ever. Obviously, these two have had some great encounters before, but they've never really gotten a proper match. So, being in this double main event means they get to be the stars of the card, with no championship card on this pay-per-view. So, they get to have their big moment. And let's get to the match in the Hell in a Cell. Okay, so first Dean Ambrose makes his way down the ring and throws chairs into the ring, and as we notice, he has a kendo stick on his back and puts a table in as well, and so heads out again and looks again at the Hell in a Cell, and then begins to start to scale it. He shows no fear with his his kendo stick at the top of the cell, looking over at the crowd cheer for him. Next, Seth Rollins comes out with his Money in the Bank briefcase and sneaking at and sneering at Dean Ambrose, the lunatic. Seth Rollins begins to scale cage with his other associates, bringing him down, and they go up instead of him. As they climb and make their way to the top, everyone is shocked, and Dean Ambrose gives a round of applause before going to attack them. Then we see Seth Rollins make his way to the top, and they begin to attack each other. As they do attack, Dean Ambrose using that kendo stick, and then they begin to move to the side of the cage, where Ambrose and Rollins start to teeter down the side of the cage, and as they stick there, they hold each other. Dean Ambrose pushes Seth Rollins over to the side. They both fall at the same time, and hit both announcing tables being completely lifeless at the bottom. After the simultaneous fall, 2 stretchers are brought out, and two are put on them as they're brought away in the gurneys before the match even begins. Dean Ambrose gets off his one and runs over to the ramp where Seth Rollins is on his gurney, brings him off, and hits him off the side of the cell, setting up Rollins, before bringing him inside the cage cell, locking the door as this match begins. Inside the ring, Dean Ambrose smashes Rollins with a chair, time and time again. Ambrose then thrusts Rollins on the ring and tries to pin him in with a screwdriver in his mouth, but Rollins gets out of this and catapulting Rollins off the cell. Ambrose clubs Rollins again and again and getting Rollins square in the body. Dean Ambrose tries to get a suplex on Rollins, but he can't, and finally getting a bit of offense back, Seth Rollins back body drops Dean Ambrose into the pile of chairs. Seth Rollins steps entirely gets the table, lining it up, and Ambrose reverses attempts and elbow drops Rollins through the table, which is a great move. Dean Ambrose then picks up Rollins and starts to scrape him off the side of the cell. When Corporate King comes along, using his fire extinguisher, sprays Ambrose in the face, making him fall to the ground. That move gains booing from the crowd, and Rollins smashes Ambrose against the table in the cell. Rollins hits a curb stomp in the ring to a surprise kick out from Dean. Rollins grabs the briefcase and uses the chair as a weapon and lying Ambrose. Seth puts Ambrose's face on the briefcase, his head, and then Dean gets to his feet and comes back, but Rollins hits him with a big kick. He flies backwards, but he goes forward and clotheslines Rollins, and with the Money in the Bank briefcase, hits him in the face. Although Ambrose goes for the cover, there's a surprise kick out, and so looks aside, he goes over, gets 2 cinder blocks, with the crowd chanting his name. He brings the cinder blocks in, puts them underneath Rollins' head in an attempt of retribution after what happened to Dean Ambrose with the Authority and Seth Rollins a few Monday Night Raws ago, and so he lines up the cinder blocks underneath Seth Rollins' head, and suddenly, as he attempts the curb stomp, the lights go out, and we hear words that don't make any sense at all, as a lantern is placed in the middle of the ring when a little bit of light comes back, and suddenly we see Bray Wyatt appear and completely just annihilate Dean Ambrose with a clothesline, and the lights go out again. As the lights go back on, Bray Wyatt gets into his crab-like signature position, and Wyatt hits his signature rock bottom-like signature, and Rollins goes over to pin with the 1-2-3, and Rollins winning that match. Rollins goes and eyes Bray Wyatt and leaves the ring, celebrating with the other officials, and Wyatt picks up Dean Ambrose again in the ring, and looking into Dean Ambrose, he goes into Sister Abigail and hits it, and the pay-per-view ends for good. So that is it for the pay-per-view Hell in a Cell live from Dallas, Texas. So what did I think of that match? The main event, the second part of the main event, I thought it was very good indeed. Pretty good. A lot of the match was not actually spent doing much moves, but a lot of weapons involved and promised hell, and that's what they got. A lot of them lying around. I think Rollins really performed well, so did Dean Ambrose, and we were promised something and we got that thing. So again, I will give this match a 4 out of 5, and now let's get on to the overall pay-per-view review. So my overall thoughts on the WWE Hell in a Cell pay-per-view are that it was enjoyable in the way it went. There was quite a few moments that made you go wow. Indeed, I thought that some of the matches were not really necessary on the card, especially the United States Championship match really didn't matter. I mean, we got to see Damien Mizdow in action, but apart from that match was just really uninteresting. The match between the match, our first match, I think, the Intercontinental Champ match should have been on a bit later. Dolph Ziggler versus Antonio Cesaro, sorry. That match should have been on where the United States Championship match was on, I think, because the crowd were getting a bit more into it, and I think that was a really good match. I was really surprised by that match, and I thought it was great. And it's probably my favourite match of the card. I also really enjoyed the John Cena versus Randy Orton match in a steel cage, and I thought the Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose match not quite as enjoyable as the other Hell in a Cell match, but the other two were really good veterans, and these guys, since this being their first time in the Cell, it's understandable that they had a bit of. It was still really good, I have to say, and I can see that Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose are going to have a very promising future in the business, and I guess that John Cena will go on to break Ric Flair's record really soon. First match, which was the pre-show I didn't really see, so I can't really judge that in full. But the first match we saw was the match between Dolph Ziggler and Cesaro for the Intercontinental Championship match. So yeah, and then we got Nikki Bella versus Brie. This is my recap. Tag Team Championship match was the Usos versus Gold and Stardust, which I thought was good. Then we got the video package and then Randy Orton versus John Cena in the first part of the main event in the Hell in a Cell match, which was halfway through the pay-per-view. Then we got the United States Championship match for The Miz versus Sheamus, which I didn't think was too good. Then we got the Rusev versus Big Show, which was alright. I don't really enjoy that one that much. I didn't like the ending of that at all. AJ Lee versus Paige wasn't that good. It was alright. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins was good, but not anything surprising. So overall, pay-per-view sort of lackluster in all, but some parts being better than others in all. Not necessarily a throwaway pay-per-view, as it did offer good matches and something new in the Cell that we could look forward to in the future. Maybe a lot of matches we'll remember. Maybe make it a sort of forgettable pay-per-view. Championship, heavyweight championship match, which sort of affected the way it ran. I thought it was sort of weird with the two double main event in such a way, and the end with Wyatt was don't really have much of an opinion on that yet. I'll probably talk about that in a later episode of the show. Yeah. So overall, in my end of this review, I'm going to give this episode, this pay-per-view, Hell in a Cell, I will give it a 6.527. Maybe just in terms of types of matches, I'll give this a 7 out of 10 in all. Leaning on like 6.5, between 6.5 and 7. So around that sort of rating. And now that Hell in a Cell is through, even then there was an interview after that was exclusive to WWE Network, John Cena interview that we don't really care about. And now that Hell in a Cell is through, we get to the part of the show where I will talk about predictions for the future. So in terms of predictions, I really think that Dolph Ziggler is going to be pretty good in the future. I hope. This is one of my favourite superstars, if not my favourite, Intercontinental Champion. If he goes on to get a Money in the Bank soon, I think that he's going to. Well, one of my predictions is that he will do well at the Royal Rumble, but we'll get into that future. Let's think. Well, John Cena is going to be facing Brock Lesnar in the future. Probably the next pay-per-view. No, not the next pay-per-view, but it'll be coming up soon. Or maybe even in the next year, I don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see if they give Orton a chance against Brock Lesnar, because that's something I thought Orton would get the chance to do. But he will obviously not be getting it soon, and obviously as this is going to be the third time that's going to be the fourth time Brock Lesnar and John Cena face. It won't be as good, I don't think, as if we had Randy Orton versus Brock Lesnar. So yeah. Also, I just don't see how Sheamus with the United States Championship is doing anything good. So I think they should probably change hands of that pretty soon. And one guess is Damien Mizdow. which I think would be pretty good. And maybe Damien Mizdow could go on to say win maybe a tag team championship with somebody, or form his own champ, or maybe even win the Intercontinental Championship or Money in the Bank match. In terms of the tag team championship match, tag team championships with Goldust and Stardust, I think they should hold it for a bit more time. And I don't know, I think that a new tag team should be brought from NXT up to the main roster soon, such as the Ascension. Maybe makes a new brand of tag team. A few more tag teams need to be made, I think, as well. In terms of any of the other matches, I don't really have anything to say right now, but I might make another video in the future concerning, Bray Wyatt and other stuff like that, and Dolph Ziggler, and all the upcoming superstars that are here, and Brock Lesnar, who's going to be coming back hopefully by the end of the year, which I've heard rumors he won't be. So anyway, that has been my review of WWE Hell in a Cell 2014. I am TV Hub Official 1, and this has been a pleasure. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next WWE video, or in case it's not, see you in the future in any of my Red Dwarf reviews or TV show reviews or anything I do on my channel. Thank you for watching. Good night.